You gotta keep them separated.
What's going on, traders? Hope everybody's having a great and relaxing long weekend. Here we are looking at the S&P 500 weekly chart. But before we get into it, a friendly reminder that this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. And if you would be so kind, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and that will alert you every time we post new updates about that market or any other educational material. So, with that being said, let's get into it. All right, so markets were up Thursday just slightly, 0.39%. Final print 409.19. And the weekly chart here, we're kind of getting a doji-esque candle on the weekly print here, just under this trend line, downtrend line that's starting to develop. And we'll have to see how price reacts coming into this week. We've got a couple of big data events. Wednesday, we have CPI data at 8:30 and two Fed speakers, one at 9, another one at 12. And Thursday, we have PPI at 8:30. So we definitely have to watch out for that data as it comes out. Certainly can move the market in either direction. But all things being equal, if we didn't have data, I would be watching for continued consolidation here in this zone before we either reject or we break above, come back and retest, and then make that move higher. I've talked about some higher price targets we might be looking for, and certainly if we get over this 415 pivot, I'll probably be looking for that ultimate target of 420, and maybe we'll get just above here at maybe just above, pretty much. Yeah. Okay, we do have this gap as well that I wanted to point out, so maybe if we do get over that 420, we do start to fill this gap up into 422.25 area. So let's watch out for that. Just based on the chart, again, if we didn't have data, all things being equal, I would probably favor, not favor, my hunch would be that we'd be likely to fill this gap sooner than we're going to fill the gaps below. But of course, CPI can change that in a second. So we're going to have to watch how price reacts on Wednesday at 8:30. So we also have this kind of wedge pennant situation forming here on the weekly, which I think is interesting. And certainly if we get that break over and retest, really can give us an opportunity for some nice longs up into the previous areas I mentioned higher. So let's look at the daily chart now and see what we can figure out, if that's giving us any hints. Okay, so here we are on the daily now. Big thing that we really need to hold for me, this consolidation zone that we were watching for a while, or have been watching, I should say, under this 404.25, 404, we're likely to sell off more. But as it stands, it's gonna be tough to see that much more upside until we really break over this trend line here and then back test it to see how strong it is. You could make an argument here for a little bit of a flag pattern starting to form, but again, the main breakout we're gonna have to wait to see is getting over this downtrend line that's starting to develop. We only have 2 points of contact on the trend though, so technically it's not really a valid trend yet, and neither is this one. But it's starting to take shape, so it's just something that I personally want to watch out on. The other thing here, the Momo, we're starting to get a bit hot again. All right, now as I go over this, you know, I'm not taking into account CPI, so it's going to be a little bit tricky making some predictions about the market. You know, we've got that big data number coming out, and that can really, you know, change everything, like I was saying before. So, you know, even more so, take things with a grain of salt this week. But Momo here getting a bit spicy. Of course, it can get even more overbought. We've seen it before, but it's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on as we seem to be getting to the top of the range there. So yeah, let's see. Let's look at the fibs. And we were talking about the possible fake break. We were talking about the fake break of that 786 extension, and we were warning about some type of cool down in the markets coming up into this uptrend channel that we have been trading in for some time, and we did start to see that. You know, I think I mentioned I was swinging some puts. We got most out. I got stopped out of my runners on Thursday, but that was fine. It was a little trade. I think the best I got was about 35%, 36%, but I'll take it. But so now I'm completely out of my short, and just waiting to see what's going to develop this week with data. But right now we're stuck in between the 618 and the 786, so we could also for Monday and Tuesday just continue to consolidate here. Markets probably will be a bit tentative coming into CPI, so watch out for trickier price action as they're going to be waiting mostly in anticipation, probably not going to see many big moves. If we're going to look kind of broader speaking, now there's two ways to look at this. I'm going to show you two, but just based on the daily, you know, right now we've got a kind of a range again that's been established here from, maybe we could see this that on a different chart, but I'll just keep it here for now. And let me, from here around 412, let me turn this down a little bit. 412 and the bottom more or less 404, 404.60, 65. So right now that's kind of the range we're trading in. Certainly tradable, some nice moves that you can catch, but you know, we want to just watch out for this and be aware that, you know, probably not going to see anything until we really move out of this consolidation in one way or the other. But still, you know, 404 to 412, still, you know, definitely a couple of dollars in range to work with. So it's certainly tradable, but can be trickier and more complex price action that we have to deal with. So let's remove this. All right, let's get into some other stuff here. Actually, let me do this. All right. And let me delete these. Okay. All right, so we are still above value here, you know, on the 4-hour. That definitely to me is a bit concerning. On the daily, we are fine as far as that's concerned. A little bit more room to the upside there to work with. But when we start to zoom in, we are still above value here on the 4-hour and quite extended as far as that's concerned. I also want to mention we do have this VP gap. Now we haven't totally gone in, we never traded into it, but this one too is very interesting. So, you know, if we do start to sell off in CPI or whatever, I'm going to be watching these areas pretty closely here. I guess that's 404 401.55 we'll call it, and about 436. Another one right here. So I want to watch out for these gaps. Certainly areas of interest. A price, if we start to come down, price might be drawn into them, and then we might actually, after we fill it up, might start to see that reversal going back the other way. So, but the volume profile hasn't worked itself out yet, so that is a little concerning overall for me. Let's look at the 10-day hourly. Now we are still in value here. Still plenty of gaps to be mindful of. Well, we've got one ahead as well. And price here closing just basically right at the hourly point of control, which is interesting. Let's just look, because I know this can change. Let's come in a little bit closer and see where we are. Okay, here on the 5-day hourly, we are below volume point of control, above all the moving average, getting a little bit of cross there. I don't know how much weight you want to put into that, but certainly worth noting. And then we've got value area high sitting up here, 409, 70, we'll call it 69. Yeah. So what can we kind of look for on Monday? Well, let's look at some areas that we have some liquidity that price might be drawn into. We don't know, of course, but certainly good to look at. Let's start off here, 4 hour, see if we can't see anything. Not too much. Let me get rid of these VPs. Not too much here, big zone, but certainly tons of buyers from 402 down to 397.90, but this nothing really actionable right now. But certainly let's watch this. If we do dump down in CPI and we come into this area, that could be very interesting. Hourly here is not really showing much, but let's mark these off just to have them. This is quite far away from where price is sitting now, but good to know. This is all the way down by 391 and 389.91. We've got another little area here that I want to pay attention to, 398. And it's actually good, in case we do really get a strong reaction with CPI data and we start to come down when everybody's running for the streets. This might give us some good opportunities to be able to pick price up at a discount and get some longs going, because no one's gonna really, not too many people are gonna know about these areas, and we'll see. I'd rather, I don't really care personally, but I'd rather not sell off all the way down here again, because then we'll be back in that consolidation and be a big pain in the butt to trade back up. But like I said, I personally don't have a preference either way. I will react to price accordingly, whether we're going up or down. But the market's certainly done a lot of work to build itself back up, and it just would be a shame to really see it go back down and have to start all over again, climbing up a hill. But the bears, of course, will love to see that. All right, so looking at these areas here that we possibly want to watch out for, the 406.25, we'll call it 406.45, 408.40, 408.70, interesting zone. So I want to see, Monday, we can certainly hold above this area here. For me, I'll maintain some bullish bias as far as going back up, but as I mentioned, likely to see tricky price action, as we're not going to see any really big moves until after data going on. But one of my favorite patterns kind of forming here, I like to make this joke, kind of got maybe a dog or a giraffe, dinosaur type pattern here, with the tail, got a leg, down another leg, a long neck, kind of, we got a dinosaur going here. It's always funny the kind of things you could see in the charts sometimes, like the clouds. But either way, y'all joking aside, 408.40, I'm going to be watching. If we start breaking under here, probably we'll be looking for some more shorts to the downside, maybe coming into some other areas that we'll look up here in a second. But just looking offhand, maybe we do come down into this 407, 407.50 area. That's about a 50% retracement on this move, so that would make sense to me. But as I was talking about the range, at least for most of this week, obviously we had that sell-off, but you know, we're trading right now, and here's Monday, so let's go from the Monday high. Why isn't this working? Okay, here we go. If we go from the Monday high, I'm not gonna count this wick, but you can kind of see the range here that we have been trading in. So we just want to watch out in this, you know, like I said, it's totally tradable, but it's going to be hard to see, you know, another big move like this until if we break below, or if we get up, or if we start to retrace back up. So I mean, more likely, and let's see, is this, let's do this really quickly. Let's do a fib just to get a little idea. Okay. Yeah, so we've had about a 50% retracement of this move. And that might be it. But once if we start to get over the 50, over this 409.25, you know, I might, like I was saying, I might be considering the longs as long as we're holding over this that 408.40. Interesting here how the fibs kind of line up perfectly with that liquidity. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. That's up for debate. But if we start to get over the 50% retracement line here, and certainly hold, if you're not interested in taking any longs down here, certainly a confirmation hold over this 409.25, and then looking for around this 618 retracement. That's definitely a play I'd be looking at as well. And if we break below the 32, the 38.2, excuse me, then we'll be looking for these lower areas and see how close they can drive price down to the 32, the 23.6. So interesting way to look at it there, but I thought that was worth taking a look at. All right, so let's look at some other areas of interest that we've got. All right, so certainly tons of sellers up here. So let's just be careful. Price, you know, can be drawn up into this area, but we do have some levels here that we have to contend with, starting to show themselves. So going to look at this sell side here, 409, 409.10, 409.25, we'll call it. This one doesn't really concern me much, but as far as its stopping price, but we could be drawn to it. So, you know, if we do get over and start to confirm over this 409.25, we'll look to see about getting this 409.72. That's probably what I'll be looking for. But of course, wicking over this swing high here will be what will need to happen before that. Otherwise, big sellers up here, 410 all the way to we'll call it 412. So let's watch out there for some price to have trouble if we come into that area. And it looks like we got a little bit more in here, 411 to 411.35. Be watching all that sell side for sure. All right, so I think that's a pretty good map, and let's see if we see anything else on the 30-minute. Nope, not too much. Could move this just a little bit, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll have to see, of course, excuse me, what price looks like in the morning, and see how we open on Sunday at 6, or I'm not even sure since it's Easter. If it does open, then I'm gonna have to look it up, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what things look like in pre-market, and then I'll kind of have a little bit of a better idea of what I'll be doing into the open Monday. But again, I just want to warn everybody of the price action probably being a bit more choppy, whippy, maybe even slower as well. as we come into the CPI data. So I'll probably be playing defensively until after data, so that way I protect my capital, I protect my stress levels, and I don't need to be oversizing or doing anything crazy looking for some big moves into a big data event. I'll just be kind of hanging out and taking a couple of trades here and there. So all right, I hope everybody has a good rest of the weekend and enjoyed the video. Take care. I will see you all on Monday on Twitter. All right, take care.